Perfect. All right. All right, Guy Fong, welcome to Masterchef Rewind Thursdays. Welcome in. My name is John Leung, of course. If you, as you watch me here on Twitch, we are on Twitch 3 times a week, Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. But today we have a bit of a special little treat here. Yes, this is going to be rebroadcast right on YouTube. So it will be available on YouTube. So yada yada yada. This is actually my first time ever doing this. So I know this is our third podcast, but this is the first one I'm shooting today. And today I have one of my very, very special friends. This is someone who I've actually talked to many times on Messenger, but I've never really met face to face. Today we have Chris Mask from season 2 of MasterChef Canada. Good afternoon, Chris. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, John. It's really nice to see you and actually get a chance to talk to you face to face like this. Like you said, we talked on Messenger, but being in Sudbury, Ontario, basically, and you out there in Alberta, it's a bit of a distance just to go for a beverage.
I mean, just a wee touch. What's about 2,000 kilometers? I think.
More than that. I think it's 2,000 to Saskatchewan from here, and I still have to leapfrog that little province. It's hilarious because in Ontario I can drive 16 hours just to get to Manitoba, but by the time I hit Manitoba in 16 hours I can be to the west coast and halfway back.
Right? It's like the mind just boggles, right? Then again, I think it's probably because the roads are kind of just all it looks like a twisty straw, like going through the Canadian Shield, right? But I think that's what I understand it. I've never been in that area, right? So
there's a lot of dodge the moose.
Oh, geez. Okay, that's and Guy Fong, if you're just wondering, yes, the word "dodge the moose" is a literal meaning, and trust me, it's if you have a car, believe you me, you don't want to do that. It's especially if you live in the northern states or in Canada, you definitely never want to do that as well too. But Chris, I know we've been having a little chat as well too here, but can you just let the Guy Fong, which is my name in my community, know a little bit about yourself as well too? So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a primary care paramedic, both land and flight. I'm a captain at my fire hall here now in Wanapitei, and I was on season 2 of MasterChef Canada. And then from there, that's really what got me into food sports. So we branched off into 2 trips to the World Food Championships. We've got a TV show that's seen nationally across Canada on Eastlink Community TV called Off the Chip Wagon. We're still filming season 8 currently right now, but it's seen coast to coast. And I got my retribution after unceremoniously getting the old hook from MasterChef, thanks to a little thing called Wall of Chefs, which I won. So I think that's a pretty good recap.
It's a very good recap. Wow. I'm literally sitting here gobsmacked because I knew I've actually watched a couple episodes of Off the Chip Wagon, and I did actually watch you on Wall of Chefs as well too, right? One big thing is when I saw you post that you were on the Wall of Chefs, you and Narita Mohammed as well too, who is someone who we will be talking to very soon as well too. I knew that was like. Because honestly, I did watch season 2, and you know what? I kind of felt like, wait a minute. Chris kind of did a really good job. Like, why did he get an apron as well too, right? So
well,
it's just like
you didn't see too much of me on season 2. That's the thing. It was more of the stuff behind the scenes, and then what I told people. As I like to say, I was almost like a ghost. As weird as this is going to sound, this is absolutely 100% honest to God truth. My spouse's boobs got more screen time than I did.
Oh my God, that is just. That's just tragic as well too. And I did actually have had a conversation with all of the Guy Fong about this as well too. And I guess maybe say in a sense I'm pretty lucky as well too. I got maybe say 2 episodes worth of at most 5 minutes as well too over those 4. Probably over those 2 episodes, but you know what? Hey, then again, right? I'm trying to make a joke about this, but I'm sure that's probably going to be a little.
My gloved hand segmenting an orange got more screen time than I did.
Wow!
Than my face.
Actually, what dish were you making as well too? Can you tell the Guy Fong about that as well too? What were you making though?
So this is one of the interesting things that I don't know if this is common knowledge to people, but I think that 10 years now we can let some of the secrets out.
Mhm.
Once you submitted your signature recipe, it became their signature recipe. So I know that for our season, I'm sure it was the same for yours and everybody else's. You were not allowed to duplicate your signature recipe in public for
Mhm.
anybody because they owned the rights to it. So what I did
Mhm.
was a tenderloin
Mhm.
on mashed potatoes. I did a birch syrup glazed set of onions to go along with it, and then I had citrus pesto on top of it. So instead of using the conventional, greens for the pesto, I
Okay.
actually used more of like lemon zest and orange zest, and I actually
Mhm.
used a goat cheese in there just to kind of hold it all together.
Okay.
And it was a really nice bright dish, and you got that kind of licoricey taste from that
Mhm.
from those like onions that I did in the oven and all that. But the thing that really sunk me was the sauce, and the sauce was this beautiful, rich Huntsman sauce that you built with bourbon
Yep.
and butter and fresh herbs, and there was beef stock in it,
Yep.
and it was that the reason why it sunk me
Yep.
is because as I went to get everything together to go plate for the judges, there were no gravy boats. So the only thing I had was this
Mhm.
little Pyrex measuring cup. You know the glass ones with the little red lines on them?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I had that, and that's where my sauce was in, because then you go in front of the judges, you get 5 minutes to finish your dish, and then they
Uh-huh.
taste it, right?
Mhm.
So the thing that I left, because I was so ahead of my time that
Mhm.
I left the pesto to do it in front of the judges, and I actually was one of the few people who actually cleaned their station because I was just smoking for my time. Like, I mean, I practiced this dish so many times, like I
Mhm.
could do it in my sleep.
Mhm.
So then I
Yep.
get in front of the judges, and I'm making the pesto,
Mhm.
and I'm putting it on the plate. I've got everything assembled here, and I'm just putting the final two things on there: that little bit
Yep.
of pesto, and then a little bit of sauce, which is going to go onto that tenderloin that I've got.
Yep.
And Claudio Aprile, Chef Claudio says, "Well, you're not going to try it before you put it on."
Mhm.
And I'm thinking in my head, well, I've made this thing like 1,000 times, but oh,
Uh-huh.
they like to see that stuff. So I take the spoon, I dip
Mhm.
it in, and I've already
Mhm.
got everything that I want on the plate.
Mhm.
But I dipped it into the container and I tried it. I'm like, no, it's fine. And I
Mhm.
put the spoon back into the container. He goes, whoa, 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 you're going to double dip? And I looked at him. I said, I'm not going to double dip. I said, everything's on the plate. I said, this is going in the sink. So
Okay.
then I went, put it in the sink. And as I was reaching for that little glass Pyrex measuring cup,
Yep.
time, they called time. So,
Oh.
um,
Oh.
so because it wasn't on the plate,
Uh-huh.
Claudio called it an incomplete dish and said no. Michael
Mhm.
Bonaccini said if a drop of it would have made the plate, it was 100% yes for him. And sauce or no sauce, the biggest compliment I got was from Chef Alvin Lung, who said that
Mhm.
100% it's a yes from him. So, yeah. Then the other part you didn't
Boy.
see is when I walked
Mhm.
out of the doors and I
Yep.
fired my apron like a baseball,
Mhm.
yelling, I forgot the sauce, which
Mhm.
stunningly, the apron perfectly flew over top of the camera. And I was like, oh, that might make for a really nice shot on TV. But no, no, it did.
Oh no. They
And you
probably
don't
shot
get
a
times for goodbyes at that point.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's pack up and go. Like they quick little exit. Thanks for coming out, and that's it. And I remember Kristen. She was one of the first ones to get an apron, and she came running up to me, and she was
Mhm.
like, "I can't believe you're leaving. You're the one who's been keeping me sane here." And she was really
Mhm.
quite upset. Like she left her interview to
Mhm.
say goodbye.
Oh yeah, and that's probably one of the hardest parts as well too, right? I mean, seeing people, and again, I mean, I got an apron as well too, right? And seeing some of these people, and I think one of the more shocking ones that I remembered seeing was Billy Joe as well too, right? Because when she walked out and she had no apron on, and like literally like jaws were dropping. Did anyone was anyone who was kind of waiting for you, that anyone was anyone shocked at all that you came up with no apron at all, or what happened as well too? Like,
I think so because when you get there before all this fun starts happening, you're basically sequestered with these 50 people for a couple
mm-hmm,
days. So you really get to know people. and you get to talk food, and you can see who knows how to cook
Mhm.
and who doesn't.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
it's pretty obvious. And you got to remember that,
Mhm.
like with anything, right? It's about telling a story. So
Mhm.
because there's so many components to the story, everybody plays a piece in that story.
Yep.
And that's where how some people can kind of say, well, I feel a little bit jaded after my
Mhm.
experience on here, or it's not like it was sold to me. And I can understand that, but for me, I have absolutely no hard feelings from it. If nothing else, it gave me that motivation and that drive to want to get back. And a little known fact is that I was right on the cusp. I think I was top 50 along with another girl from my season, Meg.
Mhm.
We were both set to come back in season 3,
Mhm.
but instead of taking 50, they cut it back to 40.
Okay.
I think that was season 3 or season 4, and that's what the production company had said to me anyway on
Mhm.
the conversation when it didn't go well.
You know,
I
I
made
mean,
it through everything else, and then just I
Mhm.
never got back on. I applied for the next season after that, and
Mhm.
yeah, so Wall of Chefs was my redemption. And I mean, you
Exactly.
got your redemption with Fire Masters to a certain
Exactly,
degree.
exactly. In a way, but I mean, but again, that's more. But again, that's something that's a story that I'll get to tell a little bit more. But again, today's more about you as well too, right? But now we got a little talk a little bit about Wall of Chefs and also off the ship wagon as well too. You got to tell us a little bit about this Wall of Chefs. Like, how did that happen as well too? Because again, it was like probably like a couple of years after, or like five, at least about a half a decade before after season 2 as well too, right?
Yeah,
So
it
tell
was
us
a
a little bit
few
more about this. Yeah.
years. It was a few years after.
Mm-hmm.
I was still applying for cooking competitions. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was one of the final candidates for Chopped Canada before they wrapped their season, but I didn't make that.
Nice.
I was really close to TV on that one, and that one kind of stung a bit.
Mhm,
But this opportunity for Wall of Chefs came up, and nobody had ever heard of the show. Nobody had ever seen it, so nobody knew what they were getting into.
mhm.
And as luck would have it, I was actually the first group. So we were season 1, episode 1 of this, and we didn't know what we
Nice.
were walking into. We were
Mhm.
picked up from like our hotel. We were driven to the studio, and we saw it for the first time. And I mean, it's stunning to see the set, the way it was all set up, and the cooking stations and the pantry and all that. But
Yep.
then when they actually put those chefs on that wall, and I mean, you're talking about heavy hitters who have been Iron Chefs, who have been on Top Chef Canada, restaurant moguls. Like
Mm.
it was like my stomach sank. Like as excited as I was, it sank because I'm looking at these people going, "Oh my God, like
Mhm.
this is insane." And I thought the my first round, I thought my asparagus was going to be my downfall. It's
Okay.
different cooking with gas versus cooking with electricity. And as
Mm.
much as I
Mhm.
had my timing down for electricity, I was off with the gas.
It is
And
because it's a lot faster, right? So because it's
yeah,
actually
it's
direct
a
heat,
different
right?
heat. It's a different heat. And those ovens, those are pro ovens too that they were using there.
Oh, I'm
So
jealous as well too. Dang. Yeah.
the second round
Yep.
with the fridge,
Mhm.
Mark McEwen's fridge, like the
Mhm.
sriracha and the leeks and the ricotta, I built what I call the ugliest sandwich I have ever cooked and made for anybody. And I was sure in my head the entire time. And I sold it as well, it looked like a bachelor's fridge. So if you're coming home from the bar, this is the kind of
Mm.
bachelor food you're going to make. And I kind of
Ah.
needed something. So I fell back into my comfort zone,
Uh-huh.
and I went to my barbecue competition stuff because we do competitive barbecue as well with
Whoa.
Broken
Okay.
Antler Barbecue.
Mhm.
So I kind of fell back into that, and that's where I came up with the chicken thigh sandwich, and I made crackling
Mm.
out of the skin. But I couldn't find another sheet pan to make it flat like bacon, so I just threw it into the deep fryer, and it all kind of curled up, and that's what a lot of the criticism was. But
Mhm.
it was good criticism because I won that round, and
Haha.
then
Yeah.
the last round, the lobster. That's the first time I've ever cooked a live lobster was on that TV show, and that was $10,000 lobster.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And
I
and
also
no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I also kind of thought outside the box too, and I coated it
Mhm.
in breakfast cereal and coconut, and then deep fried it too. So I was really looking to push the limits. I One of the parts of the first dish that I made,
Uh-huh.
that was the grilled bison, was a popcorn polenta. So instead of using the cornmeal to make your polenta, you literally take a bag of cheese popcorn and just
Uh-huh.
grind it through the food processor, and then add
Yep.
your butter and your stock, and it comes out
Yep.
so creamy. And you would be surprised. Even Chef Massimo Capra said that he was
Mm.
going to steal that recipe. Suzanne Barr as well. So
Yeah.
it was a real, it felt really good. And I think that it was that outside the box, and the fact
Mm.
that the other elements on my dish were so on point, that that's what got me through, and not the slightly overcooked asparagus. And by slightly, yeah, it was overcooked. I did the best I could.
I mean, well, we'll be generous around here. I mean, it's slightly overcooked, but hey, at least you got through the you got through that, and you actually went on to win the $10,000 and literally got your redemption. I mean, seriously, Guy Fong, that is absolutely. I mean, I'm just sitting here just absolutely in awe right now, because I mean, that is literally the biggest fu you could give back to the show as well too. But and again, pardon my
No,
French as well too, right? I mean,
I wouldn't say it would be an FU giving it back. It would just be something that, because you got to
mm-hmm,
remember that if it wasn't for this TV
mm-hmm,
experience and this show, at least for myself,
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have had the courage to continue with this desire to want to continue cooking, and this passion to explore
Mm-hmm.
things more. So I wouldn't have gotten involved with Team Canada Barbecue. I wouldn't have gone to the World Food Championships. I wouldn't have started my own barbecue team.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have started, even doing these cooking demos that I do for the library here in Sudbury. I wouldn't have
Nice.
done any of this. And I definitely wouldn't have been asked to do this silly little TV show off the chip wagon, which, like I said, this is it for me, it's a way
Mm-hmm.
to give back now, because now I can feature all these little mom and pop joints, which
Mm-hmm.
normally wouldn't have the money for a big national advertising campaign. And
Mm-hmm.
now they're getting that national exposure. And as silly as it
Yeah.
sounds,
Yep.
um, after season one,
Mm-hmm.
it really snowballed. And when people started seeing Eastling trucks pull into chip stands, they
Mm-hmm.
would flood it. And I remember one place in Blind River, Ontario, at
Uh-huh.
Massasauga Fries.
Mm-hmm.
Neil Young stopped there once with his tour
Uh-huh.
bus.
Yep.
She was like, "Oh, don't worry, my busy time doesn't start for another like hour."
Mm-hmm.
We got there, I think, at a quarter to 11. We
Mm-hmm.
started our first segment, and then we were delayed almost 90 minutes because cars were just coming in off of Highway 17 for it.
Wow.
It's silly, it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy, but
Mm-hmm.
this little show
Mm-hmm.
really, it spotlights some amazing and very talented cooks and chefs across the north. I can tell you that this season alone,
Mm-hmm.
it hasn't aired yet, but
Okay.
there's a 17-year-old and a couple of his high school buddies who graduated. They
Mm-hmm.
invested into a chip truck,
Yep.
and they are running it like they are pro chefs. There is a place in South Porcupine, Ontario, that sells schnitzel and strudels. It's a set of twins.
Mm-hmm.
One's a semi-pro hockey player, one's a semi-pro figure skater who does ice shows over in Europe. And
Nice.
the hockey player, his hands are like a seasoned baker, because you wouldn't believe the pastry that this kid makes. And he's 20 some years old. Like,
Nice.
it's amazing what you find out there. We just did a sixth generation farm to table chip
Mm-hmm.
stand in the middle of absolutely nowhere, just outside of Powassan, Ontario, on some back road. They're using their bees from literally across the street to make this honey barbecue sauce that you wouldn't believe.
Wow.
It is
Wow.
crazy what's out there.
I
But
know. It's like, wow. Anyway, sorry.
from what
Actually,
happened to me,
yep. Yep.
this is what now kind of paved the road for all of this ahead. So, I mean, it's just, I think that as much as it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to turn out,
Mm-hmm.
I think that it really turned out quite fantastically for me in the end, and a lot of people around me as well. Because Off the Chip Wagon it's a pretty big little show, which is funny because I
Mm-hmm.
call myself like the Wish version of Guy Fieri, but
I mean,
you
don't sell yourself
you get it.
short, of course. I mean, please don't sell
No,
yourself short. I mean,
I don't
you,
have the facial hair either. That's the problem, and I don't nearly wear flames as well as he does.
That's true. I mean, but then again, there's a little bit of bottled blonde, and I mean, hey,
Yeah.
you could probably
Yeah,
pull it
I could
off as well
probably
too.
get
But
away with it. Yeah.
exactly. Actually, before we continue as well too, guy, can you tell us a little bit about how you how they actually got you for off the chip wagon though? I mean, I guess we're kind of rewinding just a little bit back as well too. Like how did they get you involved in that? By the way, how did they find you, or
I
how did
was
you
the
get involved?
second choice.
Really?
So the first host that they got, who
Mm-hmm.
was a local radio personality, and he was actually my program director
Mm-hmm.
when I worked in a rock radio station here in Sudbury.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he filmed a couple episodes and then just was like, I'm a foodie, but this really just isn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
So he backed out. Now that's the story I got, and they were scrambling for a replacement. So they found me, and I was like, that's kind of quirky. And we thought it would be, just a one in and done sort of thing. But we very quickly realized that this show has so much appeal to people because it's telling their story. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just about the food, it's actually these people. And I swear to you,
Mm-hmm.
we've had stories from families buying food trucks so their kids can learn how to run a business. A lady swears that she was told by God to buy a food truck, and you hear her story, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh the sink was backed up and I didn't have the money to fix it, and I said, oh God, I guess this is the end of the chip truck because there's no way I'm going to be able to get this back on the road. And then some guy shows up and he's like, oh, it looks like you got a sink problem. I'm a plumber, do you want me to take a look at it for you? And then he fixes it for her. It is stunning, some of the stories that you hear. And
Wow.
like, we had a pair of women, they're partners in business, and one's the surrogate for the other one's child. Like, there were some crazy chip stand stories out there.
I mean, I'm just sitting and listening to some of the stories that you're telling me, and was too, and I'm like, wow, as well too. And I've only been able to see only a couple episodes as well too. I don't even see here and available here on well, it's now Rogers now. I mean, we have Shaw Cable here. I don't see an episode as well too. So so actually,
No,
can you? Sorry, go ahead.
they're kind of protective, Eastlink, about their stuff. Like, I mean, any of the big networks would be.
Mm-hmm.
So while I put a few things on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
they don't really like it. So there may be some hidden stuff out there,
Mm-hmm.
which,
Ah,
if you get a link in
gotcha.
your email, and maybe you can watch seasons 3 through 7, soon to
Mm-hmm.
be 8,
Mm-hmm.
maybe.
Maybe yes. Maybe we'll
Maybe.
share. Maybe we'll share. Maybe we'll a guy found. Maybe we'll watch a few of that on a night after one of our streams as well too, and our Discord as well too. So we do have a Discord channel. So maybe we'll watch Chris in action. Maybe say one of these days. Hashtag just saying, but I don't. I mean what? I mean sorry. I mean what did I just say, Chris?
Yeah,
I don't want
just
to get you into trouble or anything like that, right? But
just watch me get fatter in HD every week. That's what I tell people.
oh, ain't that the truth as well too, right? I mean, all of us who stuck around in the industry on us, well, or on this game as well too, we've all put on weight as well too, right? I know I was like stick thin when I was on my show, and I'm like, I've put on probably about 10 pounds since then as well too. So I mean, but anyway, so I might be one of the lucky ones as well too. But again, I don't want to talk about it. I may be a little sensitive about that as well too. But anyway, so at least you're open about that as well too. But yeah, but honestly, but I know we're coming up to about a half an hour here now. But I do want to say as well too. I mean, so again, just to sum up everything as well too. What has this show? What has the show brought up to you? And I mean, what if someone were to say, "Hey, Chris, I'm interested in applying for maybe say MasterChef Australia or or another show." What are some things that you would? What are some of the advice you would give to some of these people who would want to be, well, potentially following yours and potentially my footsteps? Well, what would you say to them?
Do it. 100% do it.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. And then when
I
you go
will
into
agree with.
this,
Yep.
you just have to realize that you have to be you. Just be
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
They will cut and paint you with whatever brush that they want to paint you with. But if you are true to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
then nothing is a lie that's happening on TV, really, at the end of the day. I would
Mm-hmm.
say practice. I would say watch some of the other cooking shows that are out there so you have an
Mm-hmm.
idea about time constraints and things like
Yeah.
that. And
Mm-hmm.
don't try and be something that you're not. So
Ooh.
if you
Yeah.
are not a pastry chef, don't
Mm-hmm.
try and make pastry. And that's that's like the biggest thing. I can sit there and I can watch
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these cooking shows now and say, oh yeah, this person knows what they're doing, or oh yeah, this person, no, they're going home. They're probably
Yeah.
going home. And
Mm-hmm.
you can see it. You need to find what your wheelhouse is, and you need to stay in that wheelhouse. That's
Mm-hmm.
the biggest thing. But you also got to go into this realizing that it is a competition. You
Mm-hmm.
are going to be scrutinized, but and I said
Yeah.
this several times when I was on MasterChef and Wall of Chefs, you
Mm-hmm.
don't go to the Olympics to win a silver medal.
Mm-hmm.
So go in there with the right mindset and get ready to rock and roll and just enjoy it. I mean,
Oh,
enjoy the experience. How
yeah.
many people can honestly say that they went through that? And I equate it to being abducted by an alien mothership because you never really understand what happens
Uh-huh.
until you've been up there and possibly probed. Nobody will believe you. Nobody. But it happens. And you know what I'm talking about with a lot of the stuff too.
I'm just trying not to laugh. Not laugh so hard at the alien probing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying.
Oh my god. I mean, I'm laughing so hard. I literally lost my AirPods too. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be losing my composure like this. But that is an actually really apt analogy. But again, Chris, that is amazing as well too. I mean, and I think that's the thing as well too. And I can also because we still have a few more minutes as well too. But I do also want to ask as well too, like how. And you did mention about like fakeness or inauthenticity. Again, how do you spot that? I mean, I kind of just want to also touch quickly on that as well too. How do you spot that?
I think that if you know how to read people,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean even if you know kitchen basics like how somebody holds a knife,
Mm-hmm.
you can generally tell if they know how to cook. And then it comes down to flavors and if
Mm-hmm.
they can think on their feet. And if it just looks like they're just hammering through a standard recipe, like you can tell the people that can think in a kitchen
Mm-hmm.
versus the people who just react in a kitchen.
Ah, and that's what makes the that's the difference with that between winners and grinners as well too, right? So,
Yeah.
but winners
And when you
are
take
grinners though, right? So, sorry, go ahead.
when you take a look at like even our season from season 2,
Yeah.
out of those 50 people,
Mm-hmm.
the number of people still involved in cooking
Mm-hmm.
and who have gone on to restaurant projects like Andrew Alcui in
Mm-hmm.
Halifax with the Freet,
Yep.
and like the Kwasi Douglas project that he's got going in Oshawa right now, and plus David George who won everything, and Christopher Sue, he's really doing quite well with his bakery, like bakeries I should say.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people did some amazing things,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I think season 2 had a whole ton of competition, not to undersell the other ones. And I
Yeah.
think they
I
had some really
mean,
talented people.
I think you did, honestly. Now that I think about it, honestly, because now that you mentioned David, Quasi, Andrew, I'm also trying to remember. I think what's it called Kristen. I think Kristen. I think is doing something as well too. Meg has her
Meg's got her
her
cooking.
or her cooking school. Honestly, I would love to see if I can grab Meg for a few per episode as well too. But honestly, I mean, I'm
Kevin
just complete.
Gregory, we get together whenever I'm out on the East Coast, and he's still cooking. We actually cooked together at a cottage party that he was hired for.
No
Um,
way.
Gav Martel, he was my
Mm-hmm.
first roommate on the show. He's
Yeah.
still involved. I think he had a line of hot sauces, if I'm not mistaken, in the Toronto
Jesus
area.
Christ.
Like
Jesus
there
Christ.
was a lot of talent. There's a lot of people out there, but I mean, like every season could do it. Some people maybe just were
Mhm.
dissuaded by the whole situation and kind of like turned sour to it. But you got to get
Yeah.
back onto the horse and you got to do what you love. If cooking's in your blood and
Hmm.
cooking is your passion, why
Yeah.
are you going to let something like that stop you?
Exactly.
You've got your Twitch channel going now. I
Yep.
see you do your recipes too online, much like me, and like it's
Mhm.
just you're doing it for you. You do it for you, Moon Pie. Don't do it for anybody else.
Well, I mean, well, I mean, when you put it that way as well too. But and I think the last thing I was about to say as well too was just like because I mean, I do see a lot of bitterness in season one as well too. I mean, I don't. I think you probably count on two hands out of the 50 from our season. who are still cooking as well too. But I mean, I'm hearing some amazing stories from season 2, and I'm like, hey, I mean, hey, if anyone from season 1 still watching, or if anyone, seriously, never give up. And maybe, hey, I mean, I'm not gonna say you could be like Chris, but you know what, hey, I mean, don't follow, don't be a copy of Chris, or don't be a copy of John Leung. Be a copy of you, and be you as well too, right? And I think that's probably the best way to put it. I think that's probably the best way to put it, I guess.
MasterChef Canada unlocked a door, but it was my responsibility, and the onus was on me to open that door and walk through it.
Yep.
And I think everybody's in that boat.
I think it is. I think we were handed a good key. It's all about kind of not like just having to open that door and actually getting up, moving that door, and not expecting things to fall. And this is one of those big things. And honestly, I mean, I'm not going to put this back on me, because it's again all about you as well too, right? It's I mean, I don't know how to really put it as well too, right? I mean, I made a bit of a mistake that thinking that, hey, oh, this is the big thing, and you know what, things are just going to drop onto my lap, and you know what, hey, I mean, 10 years later, I mean, I kind of feel like that maybe that's might not be the thing as well too. But you know what, Guy Fong, some amazing lessons here. And again, with that, Chris, again, it was a great conversation. I really, really hope that we can have another chat, and I really hope that when you make your way out to Calgary, you'll maybe even come to the Guy Fong Tea House, and maybe say come cook with us as well too. Maybe
absolutely.
Maybe,
I'm always game for stuff like that.
Exactly. I mean, when are you potentially looking at? I mean, no spoilers, but I mean, are you potentially coming to Calgary sometime soon as well too? So,
I don't know. Maybe I'll get out. Maybe I'll get out next summer for Stampede. But I think that we have our wrestling nationals back out in Edmonton anyway, in 2024, 2025. So, sometime in the next 2 years, I should be out west in some capacity.
Exactly. And look at this guy, so too. I mean, he's a paramedic. He's a fire captain. He is a TV host, a Wall of Chefs champion. I mean, seriously. I mean, the man has badges, man. The man has badges, and I am so glad I had a chance to really, really get to talk to you as well too. And once again, Chris, thank you so much. I really hopefully maybe we'll get you here on Twitch one of these days, and maybe say if we keep doing this, maybe say we'll do another another conversation about this. But again, I do want to thank you all. Thank you for being here this afternoon. Here, thank you so much for taking your time to talk with us today. Thank you so much. And Guy Fong, with that, thank you so much for being here with us this evening. This has been a very enlightening experience, and seriously, I mean, not just for you, but also for me as well too. But seriously, what Chris has said is incredibly inspiring as well too. So again, thank you so much. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all. I'll see you back on Twitch or back here for our next episode. All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Alrighty, let me just stop and we had just